Oh, 3, 2, 1, go. Hey everybody, and welcome back to another max velocity weather forecast. The little OG action. Obviously, tornado threat is definitely winding down on the day, but we still got flash flooding. And for those of you who don't know, I am a hydrologist or going to school for hydrology, so we will definitely be talking about flash flooding. But we are going to keep an eye on the storm near Kearney. There's actually just a 70-mile-per-hour wind gust report out of this. What I expect to happen is the storm basically more or less fell out of the sky, and we had a downburst. So I think that's why we had that 70-mile-per-hour wind report, and we're going to be done with those 70, 60, or 60 to 70-mile-per-hour winds in the area for the rest of the night. But do still have a little bit of a tornado threat, mostly on this storm up here near Norfolk, Nebraska. Very, very small, but it's there. So we're going to talk about it. Can we cover Wisconsin? Of course. Up in Wisconsin right now, I think we're actually, we have a little bit of just crap vection ongoing. Nothing severe at all. Nothing that's going to be severe. It's just rain systems. Des Moines, you guys are basically done for the night. You are barely in that severe thunderstorm watch. However, this line seems to have dissipated a little quicker than what we thought it was going to do when we first issued that watch. So because of that, I would imagine you're not going to see any severe thunderstorm warning there. It's probably going to be mostly flash flooding. You guys are under a slight risk of flash flooding there throughout the next 2 days, actually. So Amazon Music opening without prompted. Without being prompted. Where are we going to put that? There's some elite music right there, in case anyone saw that. But yeah, definitely did not click on that. Welcome in, everyone. Welcome in from Max's channel. Huge shout out to Max, of course, for streaming with the world's worst headache. But he still got it done. What we're about over here is getting it done. Welcome in, Butterfly Girl. Welcome in, Liz, Jared, Mary, Soph, Lebowski. That's fun to say, Lebowski. For those of you who are just joining, the camera above our head is in this storm over here near Norfolk, Nebraska. Obviously, a lot of rain and probably some small hail falling with that storm. Currently does not have a special weather statement or a severe warning on it. However, I could see one in the very near future because there's definitely some strong winds and hail. Cedar Rapids, you guys are okay. Adrian, you are in a 2% tornado risk in Des Moines. However, it's very quickly waning already, and the storms aren't even there yet, so it's very, very low. How's it going, Hans? What way is it going? All of the convection that we have over here is going off to the east. And it's going to continue to do that over the rest of the night. How's the weather for Sunday? It depends where you're watching from. Todd MG, thanks so much for the $2 super chat. Rochelle, Illinois, you guys are good. We do have flash flooding ongoing off to your north. However, I think the threat further off to the east over here is going to be a little smaller. Could still see a flash flood warning, but it's not going to be anything like what we're seeing over here near Clinton, Savannah, Mount Carroll, and Morrison, where we've seen 6 to 7 inches of rainfall. This is an observed flash flood warning now. Aurora, you guys are also going to get in on some of this rain. Shouldn't be severe. Maybe see wind gusts up to 50, 55 miles per hour. Basically anywhere in this area, you could see wind gusts up to 55 miles an hour. And anywhere in this area as well, you could see gusts up to 55 miles an hour. Over here, honestly, there's a chance as well. But these storms basically, quite legitimately fell out of the sky. We saw a downburst produce 70-mile-per-hour winds around Kearney. But that's mostly done now. They did just issue a special weather statement, probably, for 50-mile-per-hour winds and half-inch sized hail as those storms sort of start to dissipate and weaken. Let me pull up the weather for Sunday. Right now we have no convective outlook for that because it's a day 4. It doesn't look like there's going to be anything too significant. Maybe a little bit of rain, though, from our remnant systems that we have over in the Midwest and Ohio Valley. What app are you on? This is Radar Omega. Same one that Max uses. We both use Radar Omega. We will talk about our outlook for tomorrow real quick because I know there's going to be a ton of questions about that. This is what it's looking like right now. A very large marginal risk and a slightly more localized slight risk. The slight risk is mainly for wind. However, there is a marginal risk of tornadoes and hail as well. Honestly, I do think we're going to probably see tornadoes a little further to the north than where this risk is currently located. So I would expect an expansion of 2% over there. Oh, Epic Pen wants me to update it. Radar Omega costs dollars. Everything that's good in the world, you need to pay a little bit of money for. Radar Omega was the first app I purchased when I got into weather, and it is still the one that I use on my computer. The second app I purchased, so for those of you who don't know, Radar Omega, that's $8.99. The second radar app I purchased was this right here. This is GR2 Analyst version 3. We'll go over to the storm that we have over here in New York that they just severe warned. This is a $250 radar app. This is like the best of the best. Radar Omega does actually come like decently close in terms of performance. This has a little bit more, but Radar Omega looks way better. It's way nicer to use than this. And it's also way, way cheaper than that. So Radar Omega is definitely worth buying. Cook County, Oklahoma, you guys are good. There's nothing in Oklahoma right now. Actually, might be some stuff over here. Yeah, there's a little bit of scattered convection, but nothing severe over here. Mercedes, if you got timed out, is probably Nightbot. Nightbot's the world's biggest hater. I have it turned down today. We turned down the Nightbot, so hopefully it's not raging at people. We did just get a report out of Kankakee County, Illinois of a 59-mile-per-hour wind gust. So not severe. Actually, it is severe, because technically the severe limit is 58 miles per hour. Actually, that's from a while ago. That was a very delayed report. Will Hawaii be okay? Well, good thing if you're in Hawaii. These storms have to go quite a bit to the east to reach you. They're going to have to go over the ocean, through Madrid. They're going to come up to Moscow, go through Cairo, probably hit Beijing and Port Louis, and then they're going to make their way to Hawaii. And by then, I'm going to hope they're going to be non-severe. North Dakota, I think we still, no, actually, it's ceased to exist. We did have a supercell over here, but it's no longer a supercell. This one up in Canada actually still does look relatively tornadic. They did allow the tornado warning on that to expire, but I would not be surprised if they issue a new one on that up in Canada. Look at this, the little storm that tried but couldn't. What's the time frame for southern Wisconsin tomorrow? Honestly, we're going to see our first sort of line of convection go up here around 11 a.m. and it's going to work its way off to the east, and we're also going to see some additional stuff. But as soon as noon tomorrow, we could probably see our first severe threat in Wisconsin. Georgia, Florida line, we do have, or we did have storms down there. They have since dissipated. You can actually see the remnant outflow boundary of these. But this was a stationary line that trailed over Valdosta, Georgia, and that is why we do have a flash flood warning in the area. That is going to expire in 18 minutes, however. We're almost down to no severe thunderstorm warnings. You see those above my head, above the camera. 2 severe thunderstorm warnings and 0 tornado warnings. If there was even a tornado possible severe thunderstorm warning, which there is not, the update at the top would say tornado possible instead of a severe T-storm. So no tornadoes are expected from any storms right now. Timing yet for Chicago suburbs tomorrow. Chicago, you're probably looking at more like 6 or 7 p.m. just because it's going to be a little later in the night. We're not going to see the first line reach there. It's going to be the second one. Will I see a tornado if I go to southern Wisconsin tomorrow at 12 in the afternoon? Probably not. Almost certainly not. Less than 2% chance. N.A. Rose, thank you so much for the $5 super chat. Tiffin, Ohio. We'll take a look over at Ohio. I don't think we have one tiny little storm that's not even really a storm in Ohio. You think the HRRR or the Rufus is going to be the play tomorrow? On events like this, almost always the HRRR. Rufus is still being like worked on and like made. Like that's still a model they're developing. So it's quite clunky right now. But it will get better. I promise the Rufus will get better. In Rufus we trust. I think that in the very near future, the RRFS is going to be like the go-to model. Where can I see a tornado? Honestly, if you want to see a tornado tomorrow, the highest potential is probably going to be right in this region here. If you're inside the circle, don't be worried. It's still a relatively low threat. It's just that's where the highest threat for tomorrow exists. We will take a look at future radar for tomorrow eventually. We're going to save that for a little later in the stream. Weather for the North Pole tomorrow. I don't know if I can even go up to the North Pole. Yes, it's up here. So unfortunately, no radar coverage or model coverage. Actually, the CFS, I think, and the GFS world does cover northern, or the North Pole. Elgin, are we talking about tonight or tomorrow in Elgin, Illinois? If you want to see a tornado tomorrow, find a YouTube video. Yeah. Hey, if you want to see a tornado right now, you can go watch my video of the El Dorado, Oklahoma tornado from last year. Or the Harlan, Iowa wedge. Or the Waverly EF3. Wichita, Kansas, you guys should be mostly chilling for the night. There may be some weak convection that sort of makes its way into the area, but nothing too insane. Elgin tonight, you guys are chilling. The only 2 severe thunderstorm warnings we have right now, we have one in New York, almost into New Jersey for this silly little shower here that's apparently producing 60-mile-per-hour winds. We also have one over in Wyoming, in the radar of old time that always has a storm in it, right here. Burt County, Nebraska, you guys are good. We have a lot of watches in effect right now, and I think we're going to see a lot of watches expire here pretty soon. Or I meant, yeah, Vermont, not New Jersey. I promise I know my states. I've been up since very early this morning. I drove literally 7 hours today, most of which were spent in a parking lot of traffic in Minnesota. Underdog, you literally said Nightbot in all caps. You knew Nightbot was going to slap that message. Will the wasps at the stadium Max was covering be okay? I don't know. Do you think we have any wasps right now? None on that camera. And none on that camera. No wasps. Marked safe from wasps. Sean, we can take a look at Burt County, Nebraska. This is over here near Tecuma. We do have a lot of rain in the area. We're probably going to see flash flooding in the area, but nothing severe. Wasps typically aren't out at night. You never know. Those wasps have a mind of their own. Those were some crazy wasps. Bro is tempting Nightbot with all cap messages, one after one after one. Is there a difference on radar from a tornado or a land spout? If you can see the couplet, no, not really. Either way, it's still a velocity couplet. How does the caps filter work? If you send, I think it's more than like 3 concurrent capital messages in a row, or 3 concurrent capital letters in a row, Nightbot says no and deletes it. You see what happened to Ryan's Pizza a few hours ago? I did see the pizza emergency. Des Moines, you guys should not have to worry about tornadoes tonight. The watch was originally issued at a 20% tornado risk for the entire watch. I would say at this point we're probably at 5%. What is an outflow boundary and how does it show up on radar? Let me find one. Maybe one over here. Yeah. So this is an outflow boundary. You can see the line, and I mean, if you see a shelf cloud in person, that is basically what an outflow boundary is. But basically, when storms grow, they take all this air up, and all that air has to go somewhere. When it cools down, it comes back down to the ground. So it basically takes all of this air and pushes it out in front of the storm. That's outflow. It's flowing out from the storm. And that is how an outflow boundary forms, and that's how we see it on radar. So, like, if you're looking at the special weather statement, actually, you might look at this area of the storm back there and be like, oh, that's where the wind is. The wind is actually all the way up here where we see this line, because that is the basically front of the wind. Sometimes this is referred to as a gust front. We did just get a report from Cimarron County, Oklahoma. Apparently there was a downburst event that occurred 3 miles north of Felt. Roofs in the lot surrounding a house were torn off, not completely ripped off. 6 power poles were knocked down. Some were completely snapped, and small trees and large trees were snapped in two. That was earlier in Oklahoma around 6:05 p.m. Central. Has there ever been a time where there was a more than 30% tornado risk? There has been. There's been a 45 hatched before. Ord, Nebraska. Is that a real town? No way. Oh, that is not it. That is it. That is a real town. Can't say I've ever heard of the town called Ord. But you guys are behind the storms. We do have this little guy off to your southwest, but nothing too crazy should come out of that. What does a 45 hatched mean? So a lot of people know there's like the 10 hatched tornado risk. Occasionally you see a 15 hatched tornado risk. We've seen a 30 hatched tornado risk a few times. It does go up higher than that. There's a 45 hatched and a 60 hatched. So the 60 is obviously, or the 60 of the 45 or whatever, that is the chance of seeing a tornado. But the hatched part means that that is a significant tornado chance. So that is something higher than an EF2, an EF2 tornado or higher. That's where the EF2 plus tag comes from. Gurney is looking pretty quiet. We just got a tornado warning in Illinois. Alright, so this includes Walnut, Princeton, Malinas, and Malden in Illinois. This is a radar-indicated tornado warning. Let's see if there's a velocity couplet on it. There definitely is. This looks more like a convergent signature than a velocity couplet to me, but this could definitely spin up to a tornado. So what we have going on here is you basically have two air masses running into each other. When that happens, they butt together and it leads to vorticity with horizontal rotation. That horizontal rotation is what forms a tornado. So this tornado warning is in effect for another 38 minutes. I do expect that they'll probably expire it earlier than that. There's not a tornado warning there's not a tornado on the ground right now. However, there could be. So if we're in Walnut, Malinas, honestly, Wyanett, Princeton, Malden, Ohio, let's go ahead and go to our basement or our most interior room. If you don't have a basement and you're going to the most interior room of your house, go ahead and grab a bike helmet, a baseball helmet, a softball helmet, any sort of helmet. Bring it with you. It could save your life. Tornadoes can do a bunch of damage. They throw debris around, and it's always good to have as much protection as you can. We may have a camera on this, actually. It's on I-80. No, I do not think we have a camera on that. Tornado warning is in effect for 36 more minutes now. I would imagine this has a pretty cool presentation, at least on velocity, where you can see the air masses collide with each other and sort of turn into a little couplet-like looking thing. And yeah, that is why this tornado, or the storm was tornado warned, is for our area of rotation right here. So we went from no tornado warnings, or went from 2 severe thunderstorm warnings to 1 severe thunderstorm warning and a tornado warning. Joseph, thank you so much for subscribing. Downstream, this could be heading towards Peru, LaSalle, and Tonka in Illinois. I do not think this is going to be a long-lived tornado-producing storm just because of the nature. Carol, there should not be any tornadoes in Chicago tonight, but this is a perfect example, actually, of a mesoscale accident of 2 storms running into each other that could lead to a potential spin-up tornado, and that's why we do still have a 2% tornado risk in the area. Newest velocity scan is coming in. We've already seen that reflectivity scan. Velocity runs about 30 seconds behind. We should see that radar beam swing around here in a second, and we'll have that new velocity information on it. It has not come in yet. But I do expect that it's probably going to be a slightly weaker couplet, probably. Did Max make his own color table on Omega? He did not. I do not know what color table he uses. I believe it is in his Discord. You're in Walnut, Illinois. You should be in shelter. I will say I think you're safe in Illinois. However, or safe in Walnut, Illinois specifically, the tornado or the part of the storm that would produce a tornado is probably going to stick to this portion of the warning. However, it never hurts to practice at least taking shelter. And it's not even practice. You're under a tornado warning. So go through your protocol as if there was a confirmed tornado on the ground. Pretend you could see it. Pretend we know it's on the ground and pretend it's heading towards you. Take shelter. The best way to be ready for a tornado is to practice. Canahan Outlook. Where is that? There's a lot of smaller towns here that I didn't even see. Let me search that. Yes, this storm will... I don't think it'll even make it to you. I do think it is a very brief tornado threat that this storm poses. However, any tornado threat does need to be taken seriously. GR2 is marking this with a TVS, so that means that GR2's algorithm that detects couplets has noted that this could potentially produce a tornado. And obviously, we know that because it is tornado warned right now. Praying for no nudging. So fun. We're up to 2 tornado warnings now, I think. I guess the other one's probably going to be to the north of it, maybe for another convergence area. We're going to get that in a second. It'll take a second to update here, but we are up to 2 tornado warnings now. This includes Milan, Illinois, Buffalo, Illinois, and Dulusa in Illinois. That's actually all the way over here. Okay, I'm curious to see where this polygon is when it updates on the radar here. It normally takes 1 radar scan for warnings to update, but we are up to 2 tornado warnings. Yeah, so here's that other warning for this area barely southwest of the radar site. I honestly don't see much on velocity, but I said it for the other warning. I'm going to say it for this one too. Weather can do strange things. This could definitely produce a tornado, so we're going to take shelter. Davenport, I know the tornado sirens are most likely going off in Davenport. You are safe. If you are in Buffalo, Walnut Grove, Nahant, Andalusia, or Milan in Iowa, you should be taking shelter. Tornadoes of this like style, where there's just so much convection going on, and there's so many crazy things that could happen with the storm. This could suck up to the north, it could drop off to the south, or it could go due east. We really have no idea. So if you're anywhere inside this tornado warning, which is in effect for the next 47 minutes, we did it for the other one, we're going to do it for this too. We're going to go to either our basement or the most interior room of our house. We're going to bring our helmets. We're going to bring even, hey, if you want to, bring your mattress if you can. Bring the mattress. Put it over you in the bathtub. Anything you can put between you and possible tornado debris will keep you safer. We also did just get an update to this tornado warning over here for Walnut. Wait a second. Walnut? In Walnut. Bad day to be in a storm. Or bad day to be in a town with the word Walnut in it, apparently. Both tornado warnings are still radar indicated. But we need to be in shelter in either of these tornado warnings. See if we got any other towns named Walnut around here. No, it doesn't say we have any. Imagine we get a 3rd tornado warning in another town that's got the word Walnut in it. Bad day to be a walnut. These warnings should not be heading towards Chicago. Honestly, you can see the 2% tornado risk line here. I do not think the risk is going to extend much further south of that, but there's the potential. Obviously, we do have 2 tornado warnings right now. Mesoscale accidents are happening. We are getting warnings. So we're going to treat them as if they are producing a tornado. It's because we're going to treat them as if they're producing a tornado, and a strong one at that, and take shelter. However, they are not as of right now. Can I bring a pillow and some blankets in the tub too? Yes. Literally anything. Anything that you can lay on to make it more comfortable, and anything you can put on top of you to protect you from any potential debris is a good thing. Our tornado warning over here is looking a lot less significant. We talked about how there was kind of 2 areas of convergence crashing into each other that led to this tornado warning. You can see that couplet has kind of dissipated, and we don't have as much as a convergence area on that, so we're probably starting to see the tornado risk in this warning wind down. However, still pretend there's a tornado on the ground. It never hurts. What is a mesoscale accident? So basically the mesoscale, that's like the thing we're always talking about when it comes to weather. And a mesoscale accident is basically something like this that happens where we see 2 storms crash into each other. Oh my god, a bunch of crazy unpredictable stuff that's not exactly normal that happens and leads to a tornado or a large hailstorm or a large flood. Any of these kinds of things that are sort of unpredictable because it's basically two things that we can't control, and we can sort of predict individually that come together to create a bad situation like this. How did you meet Max? Yeah, Max and I met at McDonald's randomly. Trust. Where's the tornado warning? The tornado warnings are these pink polygons on screen. We have one south of Davenport and one north of Princeton. Aurora and Naperville, you guys are good. Elgin, Illinois, yes, you guys are safe. Honestly, the only areas that we do have a tornado risk are exactly where is warned right now. The National Weather Service is doing an amazing job of highlighting anywhere that could have a potential tornado risk. We have another updated tornado warning. That is for this warning over here. Looks like we just trimmed it down a little bit. Both tornado warnings remain radar indicated. Also, both of them are moving at less than 20 miles an hour. Dose tornado warnings. Small CC drop. I do not see a CC drop on either of these tornado warnings. I know I don't have CC up on this screen. I do have another radar up here. I have that super complicated one that I showed you earlier. I'm looking at a bunch of extra radar data on my other monitor. That's why you see me look up so often, is because I'm doing extra radar analysis up there. It's just this is confusing for a lot of people to look at. So unless there's something interesting going on, no reason to show that. And I'm getting pinged on Discord, and it's going through. Oh. Do not disturb is broken. Max is pointing out that we may have an area of convergence, or we do have an area of convergence east of Moline. Or Moline. That is right here, and yes, I do agree with that. This is an area of convergence, and because they issued a tornado warnings for the other ones, we're probably going to see them for these as well. Also, this is something else that they may issue a tornado warning for. It is anticyclonic, meaning it is not rotating in the way that a normal tornado would, but it's still an area of convergence that could get a tornado warning. Moline. Got it now. Kevin, thanks so much for the $5 super chat. Tornadoes tomorrow in Audubon, Iowa. It is possible. By the way, if I did just circle you in basically this area here, you might as well start taking action as if there was a tornado warning. It never hurts to be safe. Does Radar Omega show live traffic cams and storm chasers? It does show storm chasers. I would click on them, however, I don't have explicit permission to show the storm chasers who are live right now, but this is storm chaser Vince Welty. He is headed towards the tornado warned storm over here and the other tornado couplet. So if you do want to watch him, you can go in the Radar Omega app, click on his icon, and you can see his feed there. We did just get another updated tornado warning. This is for this storm over here. Looks like they're going to allow it to continue, and the storm is also starting to pick up speed, which would probably indicate that this is going to start to dissipate here soon. So still 2 tornado warnings. Could see 3 here soon. We did just get an update in, or an update to one of our flash flood warnings as well. I do want to briefly touch on that. This is our flash flood warning, including Winnebago, Illinois. That is this warning here. So this warning is now a considerable flash flood warning. Radar and stream gauge indicated 5.5 inches of rain have fallen, and you may see up to another ½ inch more in the area. This does include just north of Rockford. And actually, what we can do, come over here, not over there, wrong Chrome window. We can come over here. This is the USGS water dashboard. And we can click on one of these stream gauges near Rockford. This is much above average for the year, or the day of the year, and we can see on this chart exactly when it started raining around 4 p.m. We can see the stream start to increase in stream flow. This is literally water from the rain flowing into the river, causing flooding. It is not in flood stage. If it was in flood stage, we'd see that on the chart. It would say minor flooding. However, there is flash flooding ongoing, and that's why we are starting to see, or that's why we do have a considerable flash flood warning. The good news is, if we take a look at this chart, I need to find my Epic pen. There it is. If we take a look at this chart, we can see that it started to peak. What that means is we're probably no longer having enough rain to lead to further flooding. We're just going to continue to see the rest of the water enter the stream, and it should sort of start to make its way back down to around that 200 mark here. By the way, the unit is cubic feet per second. I know that doesn't mean much to you, but basically if you imagine a cross-sectional area, so like a 2D slice, that means we have 300 cubic feet per second of water moving through that said area. By the way, both of these tornado warnings have less rotation on them by the second. This one, we don't really see that area of convergence anymore, and honestly, this area to the north we don't as well as this one over here. No really a convergence signature on that. I'm not close to the tornado. I'm in Wisconsin. Once we run out of tornado warnings, we can actually get way more in depth on stream analysis. We might as well talk about Texas, because I know everyone has heard about the flash flooding in Texas, and I can show you some of the data and information about the flooding in Texas. Oswego, Illinois, you guys are going to be good tonight. Honestly, I do think this is like the last hurrah of tornado warnings. Delavan, Wisconsin, you're in the clear. Tufts, a tornado or two is possible. Probably like one random spin-up tornado. I wouldn't expect anything significant for sure, but I mean, there's still tornado potential, and that is why we do have 2 tornado warnings right now. Waverly, Nebraska, yes, you guys are good. Janesville and Beloit, you guys are good as well. Springfield, you guys are good. Wendy, thanks so much for the $10 super chat. Think your Epic pen is over the bottom bar of the overlay? Yeah, it is. There could be an actual tornado, and that's why we have 2 tornado warnings. No more snow? Definitely no more snow. Celestia, I do not live in Florida. Iowa, we'll go take a broader look at Iowa real quick while those tornado warnings are allowed to continue. But most of this is not going to be something that would produce a tornado. It could, though. That's why we do still have the 20% tornado risk on that severe thunderstorm watch. Watching you from my safe spot in Moline right now. Perfect. The safest spot to be is your designated safe space, especially during a tornado warning. What traffic cam site do you use? Are you talking about the camera above my head or just traffic cameras in general? Because there's basically a 511 website for every single state out there, and you can get all of those cameras. The camera above my head is from the Radar Omega app. But yeah, there's a bunch of different cameras you can use. S3, thanks for the $5 super chat. There's a fly on my light, and it's really annoying. Bettendorf, you guys are good. These are the only 2 tornado warnings right now. We have no severe thunderstorm warnings other than one in Clinton, Essex County in Nebraska. Or not Nebraska, in New York. Rochelle, you're good as well. The reason that we haven't moved the map really from here is because these are where the 2 tornado warnings are. This is basically all we have going on right now. Todd, thanks so much for the $2 super chat. PDS fly. Yes, we definitely have a PDS fly. It's PDS annoying. I'll take fall temperatures, please. Luckily, there is cold air behind a lot of these storms. Mary, thanks so much for becoming a 2% channel member. There's a small area of rotation over or near Malanus. We'll take a look. Did I spell that wrong? Spelled it wrong, apparently, or it's just not coming up. We have a spotter or visual near Princeton. Unfortunately, we do not. Quad Cities, you guys are chilling. We do have this tornado warning, but honestly, probably good. Probably good. Benjamin Holmes, thanks so much for the $2 super chat. Are we good in Harlan, Iowa? Yes, yes, you are. I mean, there are storms headed your way. I don't expect them to be tornadic, and in fact, they're probably going to go, or the tornadic part of it will probably either be this, which is going to go due south of you, or this, which is going to go north of you. And they're not, like, that's not looking rotation-y at all. It could try, though, in the future. Just not anytime soon. It'll be through Harlan by the time it does that, unless it does something really insane. They did just cancel that tornado warning. Right as I said, there's probably not going to be a tornado. The NWS and I are on lock together. Is it coming to Davenport? No, it is not. It is gone. W. Davenport, marked safe from tornado. I do expect this one will also probably be expired pretty soon. There's 14 minutes left on it. Barrington, Illinois, yes, you guys are safe to go to sleep. We're going to see if we can do this again. I don't see rotation on this tornado warning. We should be marked safe. I think this is probably side lobe contamination, but they're probably going to let it continue. But hopefully we spoke it out of existence. Aurora, Illinois, yes, you can go to bed. Des Moines and Ankeny, you guys are good. We have... I want to quickly look at Canada. And I can explain why later. Alright, no storms there. But that's something else we'll talk about later. Another one of the hot topics. They did just update this tornado warning. They are going to allow it to continue. Still radar indicated, moving a little faster now, 22 miles per hour, 1-inch sized hail. Rotation near Pawpaw. There could be, however, this is something that I doubt that's going to get tornado warned. It's more than less likely not going to produce a tornado. There is a hook on it. However, I'm 50-50 on whether or not this is going to wrap up. I hope it's not. Trying to put the radar in motion, but it's being strange. Yeah, it looks like a lot... Oop. It looks like a lot of this is sort of moving to the north instead of being inflow. And for it to form a tornado, it'd need to be more inflow-like. But it could still happen. Michelle, the dashboard that showed the rain gauges was the USGS rain... or the USGS stream gauge website. It's not actually a rain gauge, it's a stream flow monitoring station and a water dashboard. But it does have all sorts of water data, like groundwater depth or depth to groundwater, stream flow. It's got a sewer system monitors even, and you can see how close the sewer system is to overlapping or overflowing in some states. Christina, thanks so much for the $5 super chat. Peru is safe. This storm is probably going to move off to your south. Almost certainly going to move off to your south, and it should not be producing a tornado or a potential tornado by the time it gets to you. It could, however. Relatively new F1 fan. Do we hate all of McLaren? Do I like Oscar, or because I like Oscar? We don't hate anyone on McLaren. However, they've been strange as of recently. Gavin, thank you so much for the $2 super chat. Quad Cities, you guys are good. Princeton, you are in this tornado warning, so not marked safe in Princeton. 10 minutes left on this warning. We'll see pretty soon if they're going to allow that warning to expire. Are we talking about F1? We were talking about F1. F1 is the easiest way to get me distracted. Come on, guys. We got to stay locked in. We got a tornado warning. Yeah, there definitely still is some thunder in the Rockford area. You can see it here on radar. All of those lightning bolts that you see are lightning strikes. Guess your reaction to Christian Horner getting sacked? Well, he kind of had to do something, otherwise we're about to get Mercedes Stappen next season. If Verstappen doesn't like the 2026 car, he's gone. Bro's going to have to really enjoy the Red Bull in the new regs, otherwise he's gone. I mean, it says in his contract if they're not a top 3 car, he can leave. This will weaken as it moves closer to Aurora. However, this storm will likely still be producing 55-mile-per-hour winds, or 50 to 55-mile-per-hour winds. No special weather statement on it. We'll get more information as it passes over the DeKalb METAR, or ASOS, over the next few minutes. Our severe thunderstorm warning in New York has been allowed to expire, and whoever was asking about the severe thunderstorm in Iowa, we talked about how that could produce severe winds and probably not a tornado. They did warn it for severe winds, and no tornado possible tag on that. This is now our only severe thunderstorm warning, and this is our only tornado warning. Our phones just went off with a tornado warning. Where are we watching from, Katie? We can dive in to a look. Wyatt, yes, you guys are most likely okay. You guys are technically outside of the tornado warning. However, it is still smart that you guys took shelter. Amazing call, Anthony. It's things like that to keep your family safe. The rotation area, or the area that would be producing a tornado, has moved off to your east. There's actually some broad rotation here. This could try and wrap up a quick tornado here. We may see a tornado warning for Atkinson, Anawa, and Mineral. Cherokee, Iowa, you're good as well. Stormy, I wouldn't say that this is necessarily nudging. This is more of just vorticity within the storm line. We're probably starting to see the formation of at least a very small end MCV or mesoscale convective vortex, and that creates spin like this, and that spin can create a tornado. Cedar Rapids, you guys should be good for the rest of the night. We are going to see more rain in the area, but probably not any tornadoes. Wyatt, you should be almost done with severe weather. A lot of this is really starting to move off to the south, and it's going to get bumped even further south here pretty soon. Just got a new flash flood warning in Rock Island and Scott, Iowa. It is an observed flash flood warning. That is for Davenport. Probably going to be stream and gauge indicated. For some reason, it's not showing us the information on that. Oh, the warning popped off. It is still there. It will come back up in a second. Alright, there's that flash flood warning. You can read it now. If I can click the right spot. So this is an observed flash flood warning. Trained weather spotters reported 2 to 4 inches of rain, which has led to 2 to 3 feet of water on the roads in part of the Quad Cities metro. 1 to 2 inches of rain are possible in the warned area. That's going to be much, much later tonight. A lot of this convection has already moved out of the area and shouldn't lead to any flash flooding, but or any additional flash flooding as of now. However, there's more rain on the way. This area of rotation, at least what looked like it was an area of rotation near Pawpaw, is looking less significant. This is, however, probably producing some damaging winds here near Riley, Coral, Marengo, Genoa, Hampshire, and Burlington in Illinois. We're like getting in between the radar sites here. We did just get a new tornado warning, so they did decide to extend this tornado warning. This is in effect for the next 48 minutes. This is for Tiskilawa. Now, someone tell me how to say that. Bureau Junction and almost into Hennington. For whoever was watching from Wyanett, you are safe in Wyanett. You're just barely in this warning, and the area of rotation is most likely already past you. Not most likely, it is already past you. Radar indicated tornado warning. If we're in this tornado warning, we're going to be taking shelter. Tiskilwa. Tiskilwa. Got it. We know now. We're going to remember that. Lid, thanks so much for the kind words. Over back here in Iowa, they have not updated the severe thunderstorm warning. It is still producing 60-mile-per-hour winds, however. This is the only cluster of storms we have that's tornadic right now. Tiskilwa. Do I have to say the wa like that? No CC drop on this storm or anything. However, it could definitely produce a tornado, so. How's it going, Mr. Red Flag? Princeton, yes, you should be in shelter. Princeton, Illinois, be in shelter. That is a new warning for Princeton. The other tornado warning has expired, by the way. It did not expire because the tornado threat is gone. It expired because the tornado warning has moved out of the warning area. There is still a tornado threat with this storm, and that's why it remains tornado warned. Are we in Quad Cities still? We are. Am I being naive, or is that broad rotation southeast of Dixon? Let's take a look. I don't see any rotation. I mean, there is some like generalized, like the storms are spinning, but it's not a tornadic spin. And also, if you see this little like bend here on the supercell, it kind of looks like a dog's leg. That's what we call a dog leg. That normally means the storm is outflow dominant. A lot of times say dog leg in one sentence, but that storm should not produce a tornado, so you are safe. Thanks for the $5 super chat. Zach, I do think the tornado threat in eastern Iowa tomorrow is marginal at best. However, there still could be tornadoes, so we're going to take it seriously. Dunlap, Iowa, you guys are good. This is the only severe thunderstorm that we have in Iowa right now. Muskego, Wisconsin, you guys are good to go to bed. We did just get an update from NATO cast. It looks like we do actually have the world's smallest 10% tornado risk tomorrow near Quad Cities and Davenport. I do want to preface this by saying NATO cast is not like the SPC's category. So although these may be the same colors and the same categories the SPC, it's not the same type of model. So the SPC is a categorical outlook, and this is a coverage outlook. So this is saying that there's a 10% chance of being covered basically by a storm that could produce a tornado. The SPC's outlooks are categorical, which means within X area, we expect X to happen. Plainfield, you guys are good. Anyone that's not inside this polygon, you guys are good right now. We're getting an update from Moline, Illinois. It sounds like we have 2 to 3 feet of standing water with vehicles stalled in the water near 12th and 18th Avenue. We did talk about the flash flooding there earlier, and we looked at some of the stream gauges. But definitely more water making its way towards lower elevations, leading to increased flooding in those lower elevations. We did just get a report out of Yuma, Colorado, I think. Yeah, so this report was just a few minutes ago. A 76 mile per hour wind gust from this region of showers. So this is not severe thunderstorm warned. But if you are in any of this area here, there is severe thunderstorm winds from this weird looking shower we have here. This is going to be like a severe thunderstorm. So if we're in Otis, Eckley, or Ray in Colorado, we should be prepared for potential severe thunderstorm winds. Even though this doesn't look like what you're used to on radar, this doesn't look like a classic thunderstorm, this is a thunderstorm. .76 mile per hour wind gust. May see a severe thunderstorm warning there shortly. Storm looks like the Jordan logo. It kind of does. This, by the way, has moved out of our 2% tornado risk. It is still potentially producing a tornado. It's just not in any tornado risk. Will the Northern Illinois storms make it to Bloomington, Illinois tonight? They're going to make it. They're not going to be like what they are right now. They're going to be probably just rain showers. We did just get an update to this tornado warning. They are going to allow it to continue as a radar indicated tornado warning with 1-inch size tail. Interrogation Files, thank you so much for the 10 gifted memberships. He's here every stream, guys. We need W's in the chat for Interrogation Files for the 10 gifted memberships. Everyone can't put 10 W's in chat. Nightbot doesn't like that. Don't overspam. Nightbot will get mad. But W's in the chat for Interrogation Files. Nightbot didn't warn me. There are some things that Nightbot does not warn for, actually. Why shouldn't we fly drones over floods? So during the Texas flood, there were people flying a drone in a TFR, which is a temporary flight restriction, which means you are not allowed to fly a drone unless you get authorization from the FAA, which is actually relatively easy to do. You just have to know the steps to do it and how to do it. And the issue with that is we had search and rescue aircraft. Someone hit a search and rescue helicopter, an Apache helicopter, doing search and rescue with a drone. And they had to stop search and rescue because of the drone pilot operating unlawfully and unresponsibly. How will the rain over Illinois tonight affect tomorrow's storms? It really shouldn't. But, I mean, it's just going to make flooding easier tomorrow. Just get a new severe thunderstorm warning in Illinois. This is a tornado possible severe thunderstorm warning for the next hour and 7 minutes. 1-inch size hail and 60-mile-per-hour winds are the hazards. This includes Windsor, Andover, Sherrard, Alpha, Woodhull, and Galva. Radar indicated all that I just said. A tornado is possible. Also, right here where they said if you spot a tornado, go at once into the basement or small central room. Do not try to spot a tornado. I don't know why we're still putting that in warnings in the Big 25, but do not try to spot a tornado. This a tornado warning near Princeton and Tisk. I already forgot how to say it, guys. It's chalked. And Bureau Junction is going to probably be canceled here pretty soon. I've tried to say it before to make some good luck and make it not happen. However, it is actually looking weaker now. Still 36 minutes till it expires, but as of now, it's not looking as strong as it once did. Oddsock, thanks for the $5. So glad you talked about seeding earlier. I didn't know about using seeding to reduce hail size. More education is good. Yeah, the purpose of cloud seeding is literally to help people. It's used in Canada, and it's used in like out in Qatar where they don't get any rain. Cloud seeding is only used for a positive thing. I can promise you that there is no one flying illegal aircrafts undetected, making it so there's catastrophic flooding. That's just not how it works. Yeah, the issue with Dubai is, I mean, anytime it rains there, it floods. That's just when you have a desert area. It's not meant to, like, it's not meant to handle that. It's a desert climate. So when you do get a rainfall event, it leads to a high runoff event as well, which leads to significant flooding. Ducks, thanks so much for the $2 super chat. Which, by the way, if you do want to read more or hear more about the flooding that went on in Texas, we're going to talk about that later on in the stream. But tomorrow at some point, I did a couple of sort of interviews or had a few discussions with meteorologist Matthew Capucci. A lot of you may know him. But we have an article going up on the Washington Post, which I talked to him about the flooding in Texas. And then we also have a update going out on My Radar. They will discuss the flooding as well. Got a new severe thunderstorm warning, including Harlan, Iowa, for 60-mile-per-hour winds associated with our tiny, tiny line that we still have present here. Still only have one tornado warning. That's why we keep looking at this storm basically over and over and over. Please look at Shabana going into Waterman. There's a storm here. Does not look like it's going to do anything other than produce some damaging winds. Nothing gives about this a screaming tornado right now, or even potential tornado. This is still the only storm that looks at all significant, and honestly, you can kind of see right here. But the way the radar beam's oriented, it's not getting the best look at this couplet, so I think it's making it look much more significant than it actually is. And also, it's kind of in clear air as well, so it's probably just beam filling, which means it's not a legitimate couplet. Still do have a tornado warning, though, and we're going to take it seriously. Princeton, Illinois, there's nothing on the ground. The area of rotation is past you. However, there could be something on the ground in the other parts of the tornado warning, so we're going to be taking shelter. Orion, Illinois, you guys are good. This is really the only spot that I see rotation right now, guys. And even here, it's very broad, but there still could be a tornado warning. Or not tornado warning, a potential tornado. Malden, if you are not, I don't think Malden's in this. Yeah, Malden, you're to the north of this. Yes, you are good to go to sleep. Swedoma. I do not think there's a tornado on the ground near Sodoma or Swedoma. However, this is also slightly in clear air, but this is the couplet that's responsible for the tornado possible tag. But no tornado warning for that as of right now. And honestly, in the next scan, it looks strange. But may see a tornado warning for that couplet. We'll see what the National Weather Service thinks of it. If they think this is a legitimate couplet, which I think it probably is, actually. I take back my previous comment from 3 radar scans ago about how there's no other legitimate areas of rotation, because this could definitely be one. It is still weird how different every single radar scan looks for this couplet. They have the radar in sales, which basically means it's doing really, really quick radar updates on that storm. We see a lot of information, and every scan looks very, very different from the last. We did just get a new severe thunderstorm warning, but this is just a CWA line, I believe. Or it's actually not, so I don't know why we just now extended this severe thunderstorm warning to include the rest of the storm's path. This one, by the way, is not tornado possible, while this one is. Actually, this is CWA line, so that is why we see that split down the warning. This is Quad Cities. This is Lincoln, Illinois. Lincoln does not think there's going to be a tornado with this storm. Quad Cities, NWS thinks that there's the potential for a tornado warning. Peru, you guys are good. Mark, thanks for the $20 super chat. W's in the chat for Mark. Nothing like geo-engineered weather. Say psych right now. Ain't no geo-engineered weather going on. At least negative geo-engineered weather. Naperville, yes, you guys can go to sleep in Naperville. There is this line here, however, it's failed to sort of kink up and do anything or look like it could produce a tornado for a while now. It's probably safe to assume it won't. Just make sure, just in case, you do have a way to receive tornado warnings. Just in case they do issue one for your area. We did just get a new tornado warning for Bureau, Illinois. That hasn't posted yet. My warning software is too fast. Can't even see the polygon yet. I would imagine that's going to be for over here. Where's Bureau? Already tornado warned. Oh, that's because it's an update. It's not a new tornado warning. I lied. We have one tornado warning. They just sliced it in half. It's going to look something a little bit like this now. Yeah, there you go. Today was the first time that YouTube successfully forwarded me from your stream or from Max's stream to yours. YouTube does some strange things, that's for sure. Can I sleep without getting blasted by my phone for a flash flood warning north of Chicago? 50-50, honestly. This storm over here continues to look very strange. Oh my god, guys, we need W's in the chat for Susan. Susan just dropped a $50 donation. Everyone needs to post 50 W's, and we can just ignore Nightbot being mean. But we need W's in the chat for Susan. It's because of people like Susan that we're able to sit here and yap about these tornado warnings. Nightbot's going to be like, hey, what? Not in my chat. Oh, yeah, there goes Nightbot. It's got another flash flood warning, a more specific one. This is a considerable flash flood warning for the Davenport area. 2 to 4 inches of rain has fallen. Flash flooding is ongoing. This is where we heard reports of 2 to 3 feet of standing water. Actually came from right here, just to the west of 74. Nightbot's really upset. Nightbot. Don't see anything else concerning flash flooding wise. Or as concerning as Moline. Honestly, unfortunately, I think this flash flooding threat is really just getting going. There's still a lot of water that needs to run off through this area to get to the river. All the other ones are starting to wind down. We did just get a Mezoscale discussion. I'll show you that, or I'll show that to you guys in a second. But is for a watch unlikely, the most probable hazards being tornadoes up to 95 miles per hour, hail up to 1.25 inches, and wind gusts between 55 and 70 miles per hour. As for northern Illinois, I'll show you the area in a second. tornado warning is continuing to look less significant. We've said it a million times. I'm going to keep saying it, and hopefully sooner or later we'll talk it out of existence. Who's the Nightbot? The Nightbot is not a real person. It's a thing. It's pretty sure it's just like code that looks at YouTube chat and decides if people are being rude. I don't actually know exactly like what it does. I just know it's a moderation bot. Here is that Mezoscale discussion in Illinois. Locally strong severe thunderstorms possible. That's basically the area that we've been watching here, and this is until 12:30 a.m. Central Time. Have you ever seen a tornado in person? I have. Seen quite a few, actually. So I have severe thunderstorms warning over here near Harlan, Iowa. The storms are just about now going to get to Harlan and Avoca. And oh my god, guys, we got another town named Walnut in the warning. 3 towns with the word Walnut in them have been in some sort of warning on today's stream. Walnut storm outbreak. Peru, you guys should be good. I mean, there's a storm coming towards you, but the majority of this should slip off to your south and your west. Where's the tornado warning? The tornado warning is right here. In effect for another 20 minutes. I don't think the storm's even going to be in the polygon for another 20 minutes. Are those outflow dominant? These actually are attempting to sort of on and off gain regions of inflow, and that's why we are seeing tornado possible tags and tornado warnings for these storms, because there are the chance that they could try to do something silly and spin up a quick tornado. Edward, thanks so much for the $10 PayPal donation. Yes, we are looking at Illinois. This is Princeton and Peru and Illinois. You're not in the tornado warning. Bureau Junction and Hennepin, you are. Interrogation Files, thank you so much for the $100 donation. Maestro Gritty. Guys, I've seen his Gritty. You do not want to see him Gritty. You may be blessed with the video of him grittying, who knows, but it is not good. You do not want to see it. Eventually, we'll see a Maestro Gritty. Just most likely not tonight, because he's definitely already in bed. I guess it could technically happen tonight, but I'm virtually certain that it will not. But W's in the chat for interrogation files. Should I go to bed? I am concerned about the storms heading to Plainfield, Illinois tonight. Yeah, you're probably good to go to sleep in Plainfield. Can we talk about this insane lightning show we've had going on over our head for the last hour and a half? Where is Stanton County? Oh, the camera above my head, duh. It's over here, actually. So I think they have the camera pointed at this storm over here right now. It's actually quite a distance away. How far is that? 36 miles away, and I'm pretty sure the camera can see it. Milan, yes, you guys can go to bed. Thanks for the $2 super chat. How fast is the storm moving? The tornado warned storm is moving to the southeast at 16 miles an hour. By the way, guys, the velocity on this warning right now, low-key looks like poop. Like, this does not look like it's a rotational couplet, so we may be done with late tornado warnings here shortly. Unless if the storm just out of spite tries to spin up something else quick. Barrington, you guys are good as well. Outside of Bureau Junction, you're probably good. And I mean, Bureau Junction, you guys are probably going to safe here to come out of your shelter pretty soon as well. O'Hare, or near O'Hare Airport, yes, you guys are going to go to sleep. Yawning. Need to stop yawning. Yeah, Silver Thompson is right, guys. If you need to sleep in your tornado shelter to feel safe, sleep in your tornado shelter if it's safe to do so. Alila, how we're gonna say that. Thanks so much for the $2 super chat. Harlan, Iowa's not gonna be bad. It's just gonna be 60-mile-per-hour winds. It is a severe thunderstorm, so it's going to be gusty winds, but nothing too crazy. They did just update that severe thunderstorm warning, quarter-sized hail, and 60-mile-per-hour winds for that storm. "15 minutes now from this tornado warning expiring. The flooding risk in Princeton. Luckily, I think these storms are gonna get. It's obviously raining there. There may be some spotty flash flooding, but they are actually like getting to move on. They move in. They're moving away. Yorkville, Illinois. You guys should be chilling. We'll pull it up though. Yeah, you got this line coming towards you, but does not, especially where you are. It's not looking like it's going to even attempt to spin up a tornado. We'll look at Galva as well. You guys are in that tornado possible severe thunderstorm warning that expires in 44 minutes. However, it does not actually look like there's a tornado possible with that storm right now. I mean, it could try something again, but it's very, very unlikely that it would manage to produce a tornado at this point. So you guys should be safe in Galva. There's still going to be a severe thunderstorm, just at least hopefully no tornado. Smokin', thanks for the $10 super chat. Des Moines, yes, you guys are good for the night. You may have a severe thunderstorm there, but shouldn't see any tornadoes there. It's still technically a 2% chance, but you should be chilling. We did just get a Mezoscale discussion from the Weather Prediction Center that we'll take a look at. For those of you who don't even, or don't know what the Weather Prediction Center is actually, this is basically the SBC of flash flooding, and this is suggesting that flash flooding is possible through 9Z for anywhere in this area, as we may see an additional 3 to 5 inches of rainfall. Honestly, don't see that much rain falling, but I think they're more worried about some of this convection that's firing back up here, moving over like these same areas up into here again. They just get a new severe thunderstorm warning. This is for a 1-inch size hail and 60-mile-per-hour winds in Iowa, and this includes Audubon, Exira, Anita, and Atlantic. Mr.Dibble, which is, of course, my dad. Thanks so much for the 10 gifted memberships, guys. Make sure you thank my dad for the 10 gifted memberships. And we just got a massive tornado possible severe thunderstorm warning that's in effect for the next 57 minutes over here for 60-mile-per-hour winds and a quarter-sized hail. That does mean that this tornado warning will likely be A, canceled, or B, expired. So, should be done with the tornado threat here soon. We'll stick around until at least that tornado warning is allowed to expire. And of course, we still have to talk about tomorrow. Edward, I have not gone to school for meteorology. Everything I know about weather is self-taught. And I am in college, though, for water resources and soil science. Yes, I am. Thanks for the $5 super chat. Just thunderstorms in Des Moines tonight. Very low tornado threat. Most of Iowa, you guys are chilling for the night at this point. Plainfield, you guys are chilling tonight. In Illinois. So just because red and green are touching when looking at velocities doesn't mean it's a tornado? Yeah, 100%. There's a lot of time on velocity that red and green are touching each other. It does not always mean it's a couplet. There's a lot more that you have to look at to see if it's going to be a tornado. Things you can look at include like CC, ZDR, spectrum width. Obviously, you have to look at reflectivity. You got to make sure there's actually a storm where you're looking. At least a low reflectivity area. Princeton. There's a lot of you watching from Princeton. We'll drop the pin on Princeton. We've talked about Princeton quite a lot, but you guys are behind the tornado warning. Just a lot of rain and thunder there. I think we've been looking at Princeton for basically this whole stream, however, for literally the last hour and a half. I would imagine the tornado sirens are still going off in Princeton proper. That is because there's a tornado warning in the county. However, it's not actually in the town, but the tornado warnings usually go off by county. They did just issue a flash flood warning for this area. This is the thing that the Weather Prediction Center was just talking about. 1 to 3 inches of rain has fallen, and 1 to 2 inches are possible. It's probably going to be on the lower end of that, at least I hope. But flash flooding is ongoing or expected to begin shortly in the area. Welcome in, Tamara. How's it going, Carol? We have 8 minutes left on this tornado warning, by the way. Good night, Humble. Smoking, thank you so much for becoming a 2% channel member. Alright, while this warning continues, we're going to go ahead and take a look at tomorrow. So this is our risk for tomorrow. We have a large marginal risk that's basically all the central plains as well as some parts of the east coast. A very small 2% tornado risk. Well, I guess actually not small. It's just a lower end tornado risk with a 2% tornado risk. This includes Kansas, Missouri, Iowa, Illinois, Wisconsin, Indiana, parts of Ohio, just barely, and Michigan. I do think Michigan, you guys are probably increased. You may see a small 5% risk added here. Like probably right here in Michigan tomorrow. But other than that, I do agree it's a 2% risk. The main driver for our risk tomorrow is wind. But this is what it looks like over on the HRRR. We switch to 0Z run. We can see our storms sort of continue throughout the night. And then they sort of die off before we see new convection form tomorrow. The model run before this, we actually had more convection around here in northeastern Iowa around 11 a.m. It looks like that is no longer something that's expected to happen, at least on this model run. And we can see we basically immediately fire a nice line of storms. This line of storms would be a very good thing because it means it would sort of inhibit our tornado threat. But you can also see these pop-up showers that happen around the southern Michigan border. These are something that, although look small, could definitely produce a quick bird fart tornado that could do at least some damage. So keep an eye out for that sneaky tornado threat in Michigan. And then honestly, any further than that, we could start talking about Saturday. We do see all this random convection, but 44 hours out on a model that runs 48 hours into the future is not something that's going to be even remotely accurate. So we're not going to talk about that, but there is a slight risk for Saturday as well. Still have this severe thunderstorm warning over here in Iowa, as long as our complex of warnings that we have ongoing in Illinois. And we are down to 0 tornado warnings. Ta-da! Back to late tornado possible once again. Marked safe from tornadoes. For those of you who are asking if this is a couplet, I actually do not expect this to be a couplet or something that could produce a tornado. I think what's happening is we had some fresh convection go up and smash into our line, and that's what's making it look like there may be rotation. However, I do not believe that as a legitimate tornado couplet. This is now a considerable severe thunderstorm warning, however, that is for 70-mile-per-hour winds. That is in conjunction with this 68-mile-per-hour wind report that we saw in Harlan, Iowa at our ASOS station there. See a few people asking about Kansas. Kansas, you guys are big chilling at this point. All the storms over in Kansas have almost completely apart. Bird fart merch, that'd be some elite merch. That can be our first merch, is bird fart merch. We're definitely on the wind down here as our storm heads off into the sunset on camera. Alright, while we wait to see if anything else happens here in the next couple of minutes, We're going to look at this once I get it pulled up. I need to find a specific number I'm looking for. I want to make sure the data hasn't changed as well before we wrap things up here. So we are going to come over to here. We're going to look at one of our stream gauges that we have in Kerrville, Texas, where we had our significant flash flooding. So for those of you who don't know, our flash flooding in Texas occurred on the Guadalupe River, or at least a large portion of it occurred on the Guadalupe River. We can see this, a huge spike of rain or spike of flow basically went from 1.74 feet at 4:15 in the morning all the way up to a 34.29 inch height by 6:45 in the morning. And this was, of course, the catastrophic flash flood. Going to graph that, shrink the chart as well. We can see that the peak of this was 134,000 cubic feet per second. This was the 30-foot fall of water that or the 30-foot wall of water that people have been talking about happening in Texas. Now, in terms of how that looks significantly, this is one of the things that we learn how to do in good old hydrology school. This really terrible looking program is RStudio. This is what all of the hydrologists use, or a lot of hydrologists use, to figure out how often floods like this may occur. So I have to do this, run that, and then it gives us this chart we have right here. So this chart is the recurrence interval, or how often we could expect something to occur flash flooding wise in the Kerrville, Texas area, using all of the historical flash floods or flooding for that exact location. All these dots you see are past floods that have happened. It's all the peak floods that have happened in all previous years up to this point. We've actually had 2 floods that have been more significant than the one that we had just a few days ago. This was 192,000 cubic feet per second of water, and this was 145,000 cubic feet per second of water. The one that we had most recently was basically 135,000 cubic feet of water. So our flash flood that we had in Kerrville was actually the 3rd most considerable flood of all time for this area. That also means that it's not something that occurs that unregularly. In fact, the recurrence interval, so all of you guys probably hear about like this 1 in 1,000 year storm or the 1 in 100 year flood. The flood that we saw in Texas actually was about a 1 in 25 year flood, although we saw a rainfall event that was 1 in 1,000, meaning it was a very, very significant rainfall event. It was not actually that crazy of a flood. This is something that's happened before. I've said that over and over, and it's unfortunately something that we were just unprepared for. So anyone who's saying that this was weather manipulation or whatever it was that caused this flooding, it's not true. It's something that's happened before. It's something that we knew was capable of happening, and unfortunately, we just didn't prepare for it like we should have. So that's as much as I'm going to talk about the Texas flooding. But that is sort of the why behind what happened. One quick wrap up on all of our severe thunderstorm warnings for the night before we end things off here. This is still a considerable severe thunderstorm warning that's going to expire in 28 minutes in Iowa. We're almost certainly going to see an extension of these warnings almost to Des Moines. Maybe not into Des Moines. The storms may weaken by then. However, Des Moines, know that you could have a potential severe thunderstorm headed towards you pretty soon. We do have these tornado possible severe thunderstorm warnings. Actually, they have gone ahead and removed the tornado possible tag for all, or from all but one of these warnings. I would agree that there is probably not a tornado possible with these storms anymore. They've kind of taken on a motion that is not favorable for tornadoes. It's kind of just slamming out of the way there. Could still happen though, so be prepared, have a way to receive warnings. But other than that, we're basically wrapped up for the night. There's another threat tomorrow, though. We talked about that right before we got into all of this. So if you're in that threat, be prepared for any updates that we are going to have in the morning. But other than that, if you are new to the channel, go ahead and subscribe. We'll be live again next time. We're here for a max stream, and we need to do some continuation coverage afterwards. We may be doing storm chasing streams as well at some point, and we're actually working on plans for videos on this channel as well. So thank you to everyone who subscribed today. We're all the way up to 32,443 subscribers. We had almost or just over 1,000 likes on the stream today. I think this is one of the most liked streams we've had of all time. So thank you guys for that. Thank you so much to the people who donated interrogation files. A special shout out to you for being supportive as always. And I will see you guys all in the next stream or video. Who knows?